Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a special Sunday morning edition of the John DeVito Show, Sunday morning coffee. So if you haven't gotten your first coffee yet, make sure you grab it, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So hopefully everyone's doing well this morning. Things here are going well on the DeVito front. We are living day by day in this cold spring as we know it here in the Northeast. And tomorrow, I can't believe it's actually going to be 25 degrees tomorrow in Massachusetts. 25 degrees. So, again, we're getting closer to spring. We had a day, I think it was last week, where it was 75 degrees. So I'm not sure what's going on with the weather today, but and tomorrow. I mean, today it's probably mid 30s. Tomorrow, the high of 25 degrees. That is not okay for me. So, anyway, we're ready here in the Northeast for spring. We're ready for warm weather. We do not want any more of this cold garbage that's coming our way right now. So, to everybody that's here, welcome to all of you coming in. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to go down some of the news headlines today and talk about some of the things that are going on in the world right now. I'm not sure who saw Donald Trump's speech last night, but that was absolutely inspirational, in my opinion, and certainly a lot better than what we've seen from our current commander in chief, Joe Biden, who's obviously suffering through some cognitive issues. Now, I'm not sure if anybody saw it, but the Boston Red Sox spring training is happening. We are going to be experiencing baseball season very soon, which we're all happy about. But one of the things that's still surprising me is that Fenway Park is not sold out for opening day this year. Now, that's not something you ever see in Boston. Usually, opening day at Fenway Park is sold out as soon as the tickets go on sale, and you can still get all kinds of tickets for Red Sox games at Fenway Park all throughout the season right now, and that is an extreme rarity at Fenway Park. Now, one of the things the Red Sox announced the other day is they're actually removing the giant Black Lives Matter banner that's been flying high for the last 2 years outside of Fenway Park. Now, if you're not familiar with Boston Fenway Park is located right on the Mass Pike, which is a major highway that goes into Boston from Metro West. So Fenway Park is literally right on the highway, and this giant banner has been right on the Mass Pike for like the last 2 years. So if you drive into Boston from the western suburbs of Massachusetts, you literally drive by this gigantic banner. And when I say it's gigantic, I don't even know how big it is. It must be like 100 feet wide, 200 feet wide, and it's right on the edge of where Fenway Park borders the Mass Pike. So it looks like the Red Sox have finally decided to remove this banner. And, as we've talked about many times on this show, I'm a person that completely supports the whole movement of Black Americans and Black people mattering, because they do matter. Black people matter, all people matter, white people, Asian people, people from all different ethnic backgrounds, people from all different religions. In my opinion, people from the LGBTQ community matter. But Black Lives Matter, the organization, unfortunately went astray. It did not really support the well-being of Black Americans in this country, in my opinion. For them, this was more about a money grab. It was more about pushing kind of the woke liberal left agenda, and that's not something I support. So the Red Sox, you have to wonder, they're pulling this down now. They're saying it was not a political statement. It was never meant to be a political statement, and I'm not sure if that was the case or not. I'm not here to debate that, but you have to wonder, are the Red Sox being hurt, number one, because of this banner? Are people, turning against organizations and businesses that promote wokeness, that promote kind of this woke liberal left position? I'm not sure, but you have to wonder also. The Major League Baseball was instituting a lockout or a strike or whatever you want to call it, and you have to wonder if maybe this is fallout from the strike. So it could be one of two things. It could be, things like the Black Lives Matter banner. It could be things like the strike from Major League Baseball also that is responsible for turning people off from baseball. But I think the bottom line is people are kind of tired of these left liberal organizations pushing things like Black Lives Matter, and they're also tired of these millionaires, Major League Baseball players, actors, NBA stars, NFL stars. They're tired of all these rich multimillionaires always complaining about not having enough or whatever it may be. So Who knows the reasoning? But all I know is the Red Sox are not selling out their home games, which is something that never happens here in Boston. And I think that a lot of it has to go into it. I think after going through the pandemic and now seeing the war between Russia and Ukraine, people are just kind of tired of a lot of this stuff that's going on, and are kind of tired of these multimillionaires and billionaires always complaining that they need more. It's just something people are kind of turning against right now in this country. And quite frankly, I can't blame them. I do understand and I do agree with a lot of that. Now, a lot of things going on since I've been on. I haven't been on since last Saturday. So this is a quick show I'm going to do this morning, just talking about some of the things that are happening here in Massachusetts and across the country. Some of you may have seen, and this is something that absolutely baffled me. Last Sunday, or was it last Saturday? I'm not sure what day it was, but it was either last Saturday or last Sunday in Boston. Every year they have this big St. Patrick's Day brunch that is kind of like a historical thing that happens in Boston every year, where all the politicians get up on stage and they crack jokes and they make fun of each other. And it's really kind of a funny thing where these politicians can kind of be a little politically incorrect and kind of rag on some of the things that are happening, in the city of Boston. But now what happened last Sunday or last weekend, which to me was just completely inappropriate. We've talked a lot about the new mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, and she's been kind of a disaster on a lot of different fronts. She has mandated, she came out with the vaccine ID passport that turned a lot of restaurant owners against her, a lot of people against her, and it was really disastrous for her in Boston. Then she required vaccine shots mandated for all, excuse me, people who are, firefighters, police officers, and civil employees in the state of Massachusetts. That was also a disaster on many fronts. So she got up and she finally spoke at the St. Patrick's Day brunch, and she had an opportunity to get up and be funny and kind of do something that a lot of people maybe would warm up to her. So what did she do? I've posted this on my Twitter page and some other places. She got up and she made a joke, basically ripping on white people in Boston. So to me, if you haven't seen this, look it up on the internet. You can find it. If you Google it, it was reported on by Turtle Boy here in Massachusetts. It was reported on by a lot of national media outlets. And you could just Google it and find it or look for it on Twitter. But Michelle Wu literally got up and she made a joke kind of on this lines where she said that all of her problems in Boston as of late have been because of things that are white. And then she tried to, get on and say, well, I'm talking about snow. I'm not talking about people. But this thing went over in the crowd like a lead balloon. And of course, people, from the firefighters unions and all the different unions now in Boston are coming out and attacking her for making racist comments now against white people. And she's, of course, trying to backpedal and say that it was a joke. But now on top of that, when you look at her comments about white people and being openly racist against the whites in Boston, she then came out and is now attacking Italian Americans in Boston as well, which for me, I don't understand how she thinks she can get away with this. Now, the city of Boston, I'll try to give you a little bit of a backstory on Boston if you don't understand it, and I'll explain to you what's happening in this particular situation. But in Boston, similar to like New York City, you do have different boroughs of the city. You have, the south end of Boston, which is primarily, Irish American. You have Chinatown, that is where you have a lot of the Asian Americans that live. You have like the financial district in the Back Bay of Boston, where you have like a lot of wealthy people that live in that area of the city. So you've got all these different boroughs of Boston. Welcome to the show, Miss Moody's Way. So you've got, as I said, you've got Southie, where you have a lot of Irish. You have Chinatown, where you have a lot of Asian. You have the financial district, where you have a lot of kind of the wealthy people and business people. You have Faneuil Hall, which is a big tourist area. And then you have one of the most historic areas of Boston, which is the north end of Boston. The north end of Boston is the area where you have a lot of Italian Americans. You have a lot of the iconic Italian restaurants in this area, and a lot of excellent Italian restaurants in the north end of Boston. So over the course of the last 2 years, you had the pandemic in Boston. You had a lot of restaurants shutting down because of all the mandates that came out and all the restrictions held on the Boston restaurants. So one of the areas of Boston that really pushed back against the vaccine mandates and the vaccine passports in Boston was the north end of Boston. You had a lot of Italian Americans that pushed back against Mayor Wu for having all of these different shutdowns and different mandates that made it very difficult for restaurants to survive. So the North End of Italia of Boston was very vocal. The Italian Americans were very vocal, and finally now we have finally come out of this mandate era because it went over like a lead balloon in Boston. So now Mayor Wu is requiring that restaurants in the North End, if they want to maintain outdoor dining this spring and summer. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these places went out of business. A lot of these places are fighting for their life. But if people in the North End, if restaurants in the North End want to maintain outdoor dining, they're now going to have to pay a $7,500 fee to maintain this outdoor dining. And on top of it, they are being charged $50 per parking space that their outdoor dining is taking up per day. So most of these restaurants are looking at a $12,000 to $15,000 charge for the summer to maintain outdoor dining. Now, I get it. Some people will look at this and say, well, it's only fair. Businesses should have to pay if they're going to be taking up parking spaces, if they're going to be taking up sidewalk space, they should be required to pay their fair share. And I understand that argument. Now, if you look at the North End in Boston, it's primarily white, it's primarily Italian American. If you look at other areas of Boston, if you look at Roxbury, if you look at Mattapan, if you look at Roslindale, where the mayor lives, if you look at South Boston, if you look at Chinatown, if you look at Charlestown, East Boston, all these different areas of the city, none of them are being required to pay any type of fee for outdoor dining. The only area in the city of Boston that is being required to pay the $7,500 fee in Boston is the North End, where the Italian Americans live and where it is predominantly white. Now, again, keep in mind that this area of the city and these people that reside in this area of the city and own businesses are the people that were the most vocal when Mayor Wu came out with her ID passport mandate that basically limited the number of people that could actually go into restaurants. So the Italian Americans in the North End stood up against her when these mandates were introduced. And she, in my opinion, is now not only being racist to the Italian Americans that live and work in the North End and own these businesses, but she is also punishing the people that dared to speak up against her mandates. So, Mayor Wu has been one that talks a lot about the racism that happens against Asian Americans, the racist, things that happen against Black Americans. And this show and the John DeVito show do not condone any type of racism, whatever. But when she gets up at the St. Patrick's Day brunch and makes a racist joke against the white constituents that live in the area of Boston, in the city of Boston, and basically the entire state of Massachusetts, then goes after Italian American restaurants in the North End with a $7,500 outdoor dining fee, when no other areas of Boston are being asked to do this. To me, it is completely racist and completely wrong on her part. So now you've got the restaurants in Boston have all gotten together. Some 60 different business owners have gotten together, and they are now going to sue the mayor of Boston because they are claiming discrimination, they are declaring racism, and they are declaring that the mayor is unfairly targeting their businesses. So to me, here we go again. This mayor from day one has been an absolute disaster. She has made one terrible decision after another and is now targeting the people of Boston, and she is targeting the Italian Americans. And in my opinion, this is completely racist. So I don't know where we got this person. Hey, Hasselhoff, welcome to the show. Hopefully you guys can all hear me loud and clear. Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. It is Sunday morning. Hopefully all you guys have gotten your coffee. Excellent. Good to hear you. I decided to do a little pop-up show this morning, and I have new AirPods. So I had AirPods like a week or so ago, and I lost one of them in my car. So I have a new set now, and I'm doing this today. So we got a lot of things going on in the DeVito household today. We had baseball this morning. We're going to be celebrating my daughter's 17th birthday, which is actually tomorrow. But we're going out to lunch this afternoon at her favorite restaurant. So we're looking forward to that. And then we've got baseball again this afternoon with my younger son who has practice. But we just talked about some of the things that are going on in Boston. I'm going to talk about some of the news stories that are happening. Thank you for that, Rose. Lightning Skies, I greatly appreciate that. But we were just touching briefly on Mayor Wu and, again, some of the blatant racism that has been happening. So let me highlight what we've talked about so far. I appreciate that, Lightning Sky. Thank you. I appreciate that you love the show. So we talked about the Red Sox this morning. They are removing the large, gigantic, actually, Black Lives Matter banner outside of their stadium. It's been there for the last 2 years. They're saying it wasn't political. And this thing is gigantic, right off the highway. If you're in Boston, if you're from this area, you can't miss it. And you have to wonder, are they taking this down because of the lack of ticket sales right now at Fenway Park? Fenway Park generally sells out every year. And this year they still have games available, even for opening day, seats available. So Fenway is definitely sold out every game, every year. This year, that's not the case. And it could be a combination of the lockout that was happening. But I think part of it is, part of the whole get woke, go broke thing that's been happening where Red Sox games are just not selling out. And even though the Red Sox are complaining that this has not been a political move, it has to be viewed that way. I mean, that was definitely a political statement. And as I said earlier in the show, for me, I completely support Black Lives Matter. I do agree that Black Lives Matter, Asian lives matter, white lives matter, Italian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter, gay lives matter. Everybody matters. But when it became a political movement and you had a group that hijacked the whole idea behind Black Lives Matter and turned it into a cash grab for the people that were running that organization, that's when it became political, and that's when it became a problem. So I agree, Hasselhoff, it was definitely about time, and the Red Sox are paying the price right now. So then we went into, the disastrous mayor in Boston, Mayor Wu, who made racist comments at the St. Patrick's Day parade against white people, and also, again, is now attacking Italian Americans in the North End by imposing a $7,500 fee against Italian restaurants that spoke up during the vaccine ID passport mandate and are now being punished because they are speaking up. So $7,500 for any restaurant that wants to maintain outdoor dining in the North End, but in other areas of Boston, the South End, the Financial District, Faneuil Hall, East Boston, Charlestown, Chinatown, any area of Boston aside from the North End does not have to pay any type of fee for outdoor dining. So she is specifically targeting white business owners, Italian Americans, and people that spoke up against her mandates. So the people in the North End now are getting together. 60 of the business owners have gotten together, and they are now suing Mayor Wu for her racism, which is just disgusting. So that's what's happening in Boston. As we've seen, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world still. We've got Ukraine, Russia still happening. Biden got up and give a speech in Poland, or a couple of speeches over the last week. And if anything, his speeches have been just absolutely off the cuff, horrible. I'm not sure if anybody saw the video of him eating pizza with the troops, but I mean, this guy, he gets in and he decides to eat pizza with the troops to show his support of military personnel. So not only does he get his pizza first and eat before any of the troops are eating, but he starts choking on a slice of pizza. I don't know if anybody saw this, but you can see the looks on the faces of the soldiers around him as this clown started choking on his pizza. I mean, obviously his nurse's aide wasn't there to puree his pizza and feed him. And I mean, I think they were starting to worry as to whether or not they were going to have to give him the Heimlich maneuver, but it was absolutely hysterical and just shows that, it's the man is just completely incompetent. So, I mean, you're eating pizza with the troops. Shouldn't you wait until the troops at least get their pizza before you start chowing down on your pizza? And obviously he is just completely unaware of anything that's going on. So now, who's excited for the Grammys? I believe the Grammys are tonight. Are you guys all excited? Anybody excited for the Grammys? I know that after last year, I didn't watch the Grammys last year, and I will most likely never watch any type of award show like the Grammys, like the Academy Awards, like any of these things. But last year, I think it was, now who was it? Was it Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B got up on stage, and they were humping each other on stage last year. They were half naked, singing some disgusting song that they created. Now, it wasn't WAP, Wet Ass Pussy, but it was one of their songs where they got on and they were humping each other on stage. DeGray Area, welcome to the show, brother. Hey, DeGray Area, you just missed it. I know you're a military guy. We were talking about Joe Biden eating his pizza with the troops and how he almost choked to death on his pizza. He obviously ate his pizza before the troops got theirs. But then I think all the troops were starting to wonder if they were going to have to give Dementia Joe the Heimlich maneuver as he was chowing down his pizza, and they needed to get like a blender and puree it for him. But anyway, so we moved on talking about that. and we're talking about the Grammys tonight. So for me, I look at all these rich stars, the rich stars that are in Major League Sports, the rich music recording artists, the movie stars who always tend to err on the side of being liberal. So as I said last year, I did see the clips. I didn't watch it. We got to see Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B hump each other on stage. And you've got children that are watching these shows. You've got people that look up to these people. And it's just absolutely disgusting that this passes off as entertainment. And, again, don't get me wrong now. I'm not this old, middle aged white guy that hates entertainers. I'm really not. I listen to Hits One on Sirius XM radio with my kids. I like some of the shows that are on. I actually like some of the music. I actually like some of Cardi B's songs. I like some of Megan Thee Stallion songs. I'm actually a fan of Doja Cat. But I'm not going to tune in to see these liberal left people celebrate themselves at the expense of the youth in this country. And again, if you want to get on, you want to perform, but be respectful. There's no point in being half naked and to be sexual on stage when you've got 10-year-old kids watching these shows, 11-year-old kids watching these shows. In my opinion, it's completely disgusting. So welcome to everybody that's coming into the show. Welcome to the John DeVito Show. Just having some coffee. I've already had a couple of cups this morning. I'm now drinking my Diet Mountain Dew. But, the Grammys are on tonight. I don't think anyone is going to be watching. Their ratings have been going down and down and down and down. They're just disgusting. The performances are disgusting. And people just don't care about this stuff. Then you have people like woke Sean Penn coming out and saying if they don't have Zelensky on the Grammys tonight, he is going to melt all of his awards. I mean, honestly, Sean Penn, do you think anybody really cares whether or not you melt your awards? I don't give a shit what you do. In my life, you're completely irrelevant. You're a woke fool. And if you want to go melt your awards, go melt your awards. I don't think anyone really gives a damn what you're doing. And I don't think anyone really cares. And you're not going to affect my life at all. So if you want to go, you want to go melt your awards, go melt your awards. I don't think anyone really cares. Right. I mean, Frankie D, I'd like to melt him also. Melt all of them. I mean, who cares what these woke people think? It's just, I don't think they realize how irrelevant they are. And I don't think they realize how sick of many of the people in America who get up every day and work hard so they can put food on the family, right? You're working your ass off. You're trying to fill your gas tank in your car that Joe Biden's made it almost impossible to do. You're trying to go to work. You're trying to pay for food for your family. You look at Frankie D. He's a young guy. He's trying to get his life going. He's trying to create a career for himself. He's trying to pay so he can maybe have a house and have the things that he needs as a young guy. And Joe Biden and the liberals in this country have made it almost impossible right now with the inflation rates and everything else, right? So I don't know. It's just crazy. You're right. The gray area, Hollywood is is the court of jesters today. The people don't care about you. It's completely true. They don't care. They don't get it. You look at some of the politicians. Who was the guy that came out? That idiot Buttigieg or whatever his name is. He came out and said, "Well, if you can't afford gas these days, just go out and buy an electric vehicle." Okay, so let's talk about him coming out and saying, let's go out and just buy an electric vehicle. Hey, have any of you looked up the price of Teslas? I mean, how many people out there can afford to go out and buy a $70,000 Tesla? Not a lot can. And for him to come out and make an arrogant comment like that, where, well, if you can't afford the $5 per gallon gas prices, just go out and buy a Tesla, just shows how out of touch he is and how he doesn't get how so many people in this country just can't afford to do that. So it's just sickening. It's disgusting. It's annoying. And I'm just kind of tired of all these woke politicians, these woke entertainers, and all these people that just come out and act like we all have the money that they do. And now I mentioned a little bit earlier, Doja Cat. I'm not sure if any of the people out there know who Doja Cat is. I listen to a lot of these songs because my teenagers like Hits One on Sirius XM radio. So Doja Cat, I kind of like some of her songs. She's got that new song out now. Let me be your woman, 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 woman. Now I know I'm doing that justice because I am musically talented. I know that probably all of you are like vomiting in your AirPods or whatever you listen to me on right now. But she's pretty popular. She actually has some decent songs. But did you see? She got absolutely ripped. Right? I figured I nailed that. But she is performing somewhere right now. And I do think that she got treated unfairly in this. But apparently one of the shows that she's performing in got canceled because of like weather issues. I guess there was flooding and the executives decided to cancel her show. And if you don't follow her on Twitter or whatever, go take a look at her Twitter page, Doja Cat, where she just completely quit music because they canceled her show. And then the next show, people started booing her and started attacking her on social media. So she's decided that she no longer wants to be a singer. She no longer wants to be famous. So she is just quitting her career as a recording artist. Now you have to wonder though, Doja Cat, excuse me, is she actually going to be able to quit? Because I imagine the Doja Cat probably gets paid quite a bit of money to record her songs. And you have to wonder, when Doja Cat stops singing and, what's her future look like? I'm not sure if she has a college degree. I'm not sure if she got a marketing degree or whatever, or is she just a singer? So if Doja Cat can't sing, what is she going to do to bring in all the millions that she's bringing in right now? Is she going to work at Burger King? Is she going to work at Market Basket? Is she going to work at a Target or a Walmart? I would imagine that the $14 or $15 an hour that she makes at one of these places probably is not going to supplement the lifestyle that she's gotten used to. So you have to wonder how long Doja Cat is going to actually survive without the amount of money that she can make from singing. And now, don't get me wrong. I am not someone that's jealous. I'm not someone that's envious. I think that if you have talent and if you have ability and you can make a lot of money by being a singer, by being an actor, whatever it is, baseball player, good for you. I think it's great that people have a talents and have the ability to make money. I mean, that's what this country is based on, the ability to make something out of your life. If you grow up with nothing, this is a capitalist society and you do have the opportunity to make something of your life and make a lot of money, right? So let's see. I see Frankie D says the same thing and all the other washed up celebrities do, make a podcast, right? Frankie D, it's like all the has-beens and the never will be's. I'm a never will be. And you're still young. You have the chance to maybe have your podcast take off. But you're right. That's what all the old washed up celebrities do. They have podcasts. You're right. That's absolutely true. So I'm sure that's what she could do. She can have her woke podcast talking about how people were mean to her. The bottom line is, Doja Cat, suck it up, Buttercup. Not everyone's going to give you a participation trophy. Not everyone's going to be happy. Fucking embrace it. Go out there and make your music and stop whining about it. The bottom line is, I don't think she's going to be quitting at all. So listen, I'm going to get off my page here, so I'm not going to see you guys for a second. There were some news stories I want to talk about that I wanted to just comment on. What do you all think about Zelensky? I still can't figure out him. One of the comments I talked about earlier was, Sean Penn is saying that if Zelensky doesn't make an appearance on the Grammy tonight, he's going to melt down his awards. Now, for me, I think about Zelensky. Doesn't he have other things to do right now? I mean, does he really have time to make an appearance on the Grammys? I mean, is that really important for him? I know that he's playing the propaganda game and he's trying to convince America to get behind the Ukraine. But I mean, really? You're going to go out now and you're going to make your appearance on the Grammys? You're taking friggin', bombs to your country. People are getting killed left and right. And you have to make your appearance on the Grammys. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I do think Zelensky's done some good things as the leader of the Ukraine. But the bottom line is, we don't know really what's happening in this war. And I'm not going to talk about the war the entire time here. But I mean, there's certainly a lot of talk about Joe Biden being in bed with Ukraine, Hunter Biden being on the board of a lot of these Ukraine energy companies. Putin's attacking Ukraine because he doesn't want Ukraine to become another United States of America. We've got supposedly 80, bio weapon, different organizations all over Ukraine. And, Zelensky, so he's going to get on the Grammys and he's going to talk. And I guess Cardi B and whoever else is going to be cheering him on. I don't know. To me, it's just, we are just in a weird place in the world right now where literally everything is about social media and everything is about being on television. I mean, if you look at even like Fox News, if you watch their station for a while, they're getting on breaking down like a Sunday afternoon football game. They're breaking down the plan of attack and where, Putin's going to go attacking the war. I mean, this is like crazy to watch them kind of report on what the plan and what the attacks are going to be like. And it's just absolutely insane and ridiculous. But I guess, we have to look forward to Zelensky being on the Grammys, and I'm sure that'll be a great woke moment for all the morons that are, buying all that bullshit. But to me, it's a war. People are getting killed. I don't need to see Zelensky on the Grammys. So now, who saw what happened with the Foo Fighters drummer? Now, I'm kind of a rock guy. Now, I'm more of like an 80s rock guy, but I do like 90s rock also. But I'm not sure who saw this. But the Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor Hawkins, died unexpectedly, I guess, was it late week or early in the weekend? And I'm seeing a report right now where they're talking about he had like 10 different substances in his body when he died. 10? 10 substances? Dude, haven't you seen the stories about all the different rock stars that die from drug overdoses? Rock stars and overdoses don't go well together. So apparently fans were expecting to see the band play at some festival, and they were gathering outside the hotel where he died on Friday to mourn the drummer. But the Colombian officials are saying on Saturday that the Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor Hawkins, had 10 substances in his system when he was found dead in his hotel on Friday. The Office of the Attorney General in Colombia tweeted the update Saturday, saying a preliminary tox screen found substances including opioids, so he was addicted to opioids, benzos, tricyclic antidepressants, THC, and that's, of course, the psychoactive compound found in marijuana. Now, I don't know about all of you. I don't really consider marijuana to be a real drug. I am someone that partakes in edibles, and I find that they relax me and certainly, I think, put me in a better space mentally at some points when I'm having a lot of anxiety. So I don't really consider that a drug. But it sounds like this guy had an addiction to opioids. So unfortunately, when you see a guy that dies at the age of 50, I mean, again, you think things like heart attack. But then if that's not the case, you think about things that come into play like drugs and opioids and things like that. So that's unfortunate. And, I would say I was a moderate Foo Fighters fan. And when you see a guy like him die too young, that's just unfortunate. But that just symbolizes the problem that we have in this country with opioids and the problem we have with drugs in this country. And it's just sad to see that. So it's just very unfortunate to lose a rock star like that. So, yeah, Foo Fighters, am I a huge fan? No. But it just shows that we certainly have a problem with opioids in this country. Now, did anyone see the story in Florida? Holy shit. This is scary to my family especially because we have 4 teenagers, as many of you know. If you come into my show, you know that I have a 19-year-old. My daughter, Caitlin's actually turning 17 on Monday. My son, Ethan, is 15. And my youngest, Brandon, is going to be 13 in May. So we were in Florida a couple weeks back. And we were, as I mentioned on a few other shows, we were in Fort Myers. We went to Siesta Key Beach. We spent some time up in Orlando. And then we went to Clearwater. But when we were in Orlando, we were staying in Kissimmee. And we went to SeaWorld for a couple of days, did Discovery Cove, had fun. So one night, we actually took a ride down to International Drive in Orlando. And we were looking at that little amusement park. If you've ever been to Orlando, there's like this off the beaten path amusement park. I'm not even sure what the name of it is. I think it's called Icon Park, but I don't know if you saw it. They've got like this like Space Needle drop type of ride. And we saw this thing when we were down a few weeks ago. It's literally like 400 feet high. So we thought about going to this amusement park and just kind of like walking around and maybe hitting a few rides. And I got to say, my family, we're kind of daredevils. We do like Six Flags. We like, Universal. We like all kind of the roller coasters and the different rides. But did you guys see a Missouri boy who was 14 years old, only 14, died after he fell from a ride at the Icon Park in Orlando, Florida? So apparently a guy got video of this too, because he was videoing, I guess, some of his friends that went on this ride, and they were literally sitting right next to this boy. So apparently a 14-year-old boy visiting from Missouri died Thursday night after falling from a ride at Icon Park in Orlando, Florida, authorities said on Friday. Deputies responded to the Orlando free fall attraction at Icon Park just after 11 p.m. Thursday after receiving a 911 call. Witnesses on scene reported that someone had fallen from the ride. The teen was taken to Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, where he died from his injuries. Now, from the people that saw this and saw what happened, they're saying that he fell somewhere in the vicinity of 400 feet from this ride. 400 feet. And people witnessed this and had videos of it. This poor kid, I'm not sure how he fell or what happened. But to me, the thought of that, from a family that goes on a lot of these rides, it's absolutely terrifying to think of this boy falling from his death. And I can't even imagine what this family's going through after witnessing this. So the sheriff basically said, it appears to be a terrible tragedy. Our prayers and thoughts are with the family. We can't imagine what they're going through. And the sheriff's office is going to determine conclusively if Sampson's death was an accident. I mean, it had to be an accident, I would hope. I mean, not that it really matters. The boy's dead regardless. But I mean, people are feeling that it was an accident. But to think about that, and that's why a lot of times my family, we're kind of afraid to go on some of these rides at these amusement parks, and we go to a lot of fairs in the fall and things like that. So to me, that is just terrifying to think that this young kid fell 400 feet to his death in Orlando. And man, oh, I can't even imagine what that's like for the family to go through that. So let's see. I see Disney employees are walking out. Let's see why they're walking out. I haven't even clicked on this article. Okay. So Disney employees across the US are walking out today, and here's why. I see a picture of a person holding a sign. Disney says gay, support gay, trans, support LBGTQ plus. So Walt Disney Company employees at their corporate locations across the US got up from their desks and headed to the exits Tuesday to protest CEO Bob Chapek's response to the Florida legislation that LGBTQ people say have dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. Now, I'm glad I actually read this because I want to talk about this a little bit again today. Now, apparently, hundreds of protesters marched outside Disney's headquarters in Burbank on Tuesday afternoon with some signs saying, Disney do better, saying the chanting slogans such as say gay. Now, I believe this is in response to Governor DeSantis, who came out and said that in Florida, they're going to pass legislation, or they've passed legislation to not allow teachers to talk about sexuality in the grades of pre-K through 3. So from my perspective, I've seen this story, and you all know me. I mean, I'm a guy, I don't hate anybody. I really don't. I don't hate black people. I don't hate Hispanic people. I don't hate Asian people. I don't hate gay people. There's no room for hate in my show. And I don't hate gay people by any stretch of the imagination. I support people that have to make those difficult decisions in their life to come out as being gay in a society, in some cases, that doesn't necessarily accept that. But also, I believe in the sanctity of protecting children. I believe in protecting young children. And that's one of the grave mistakes I think we've made in this country is we are sexualizing children too young. We're talking about sex too young. We expose them to sex too young. And it's just unfortunate that we are allowing young people to be sexualized at a very young age. So, when I view what DeSantis has brought forward, this is not about anything that says don't say gay. This isn't something about banning gay people. This is about not teaching children who are as young as 5 years old about sexuality, about the difference between gay people, straight people, transgender, different types of sexuality. Because quite frankly, I don't think people or children who are 5 years old need to be learning about these type of things yet. They're too young. They're not cognitively ready to deal with these things. And yes, there are different types of families out there. There are families with a mom and a dad. There are families with two moms. There are families with two dads, and that's all well and good. But in my opinion, that is up to the parents to talk about with their children, not up to teachers. And I think it's unfair to put the pressure on teachers to have to talk about these things in school. They should be, here to educate our children in reading, in math, in science, in different areas, and not about sexuality. So, Disney, I get why people are getting out and protesting, but I think there's been a big twist by the woke left liberal that have been trying to twist what this is actually about. It's not about, making people who are gay feel ashamed for what they are. No one should feel ashamed. But I also don't think that we should be teaching children as young as 5 about sexuality. In my mind, it's completely inappropriate. Now, Governor DeSantis, I'm not sure if you all saw this. I think the new legislation he's coming out with should be something that is in all 50 states. It should be in all schools. It should be in all high schools. It should be in all colleges. Governor DeSantis now is pushing legislation where they're going to have to teach in high school financial literacy to all high school students. Now, you hear a lot about, the left wants to eliminate college loan debt. And for me, if we were teaching our high school students and even our middle school students and our college kids about fiscal responsibility, we may not have these children who are getting into debt $300,000 and $400,000 so they can go to Harvard to study French poetry. The bottom line is college is a wonderful thing. And I think it's great that people want to get educated. We are hoping that all of our children go to college because we think it's important. There are other ways to make a living in life. You don't have to go to college. You can go into the military. You can become a plumber. You can become an electrician. You can become a contractor. There are a lot of ways to make a living in this world, but a lot of people want to go to college. I went to college, and I think it's important for people to become educated, but people have to be smart about it. I mean, again, if you come from a family like most of us do, that can't write a check for a $500,000 education, you have to be fiscally responsible. So if you don't have the money, why not go to community college for 2 years? Find a community college where you can maybe get an education, an associate's degree for $5,000 to $10,000 a year. And then if you want to go on to a 4-year degree, go on and go to a state university that might charge twenty to $30,000 a year, as opposed to $80,000 a year. I mean, it's about being fiscally responsive. So you have these people, these children that have been made to believe that if you can get into Harvard, you should go to Harvard. If you can get into Boston College, you should go to Boston College and pay $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, in some cases as high as $80,000 a year for a college degree. Now, do you really need to go to Harvard if you're going to be a teacher? I mean, Harvard, if you're brilliant, it's wonderful if you can go there. I mean, it really is. I'd be proud of my children if they could get in. But if you're going to pay $80,000 a year to go to college, and you're going to get out of college with a bachelor's degree in teaching, and you owe $400,000 in loans, how are you going to pay that back? Go to a teaching college, go to a community college for 2 years, then go to a state university. And instead of coming out owing 400,000, come out owing 50 to 100,000. That is a workable loan amount that you can pay back. But instead today, you got people that are going into Harvard, they're getting out and they're studying, like I said, French poetry or philosophy or teaching or phys ed or some area where you're going to get out owing $400,000 a year, and then you're going to get paid $30,000 a year with some job, and you can't afford to pay the loans back. So Governor DeSantis is proposing that all high schools should be teaching fiscal responsibility, and I think all schools should do this, because if parents aren't able to teach their children to be fiscally responsible, then it would be nice to see our schools give finance to students so they can understand the value of money and understand how you can get a college degree without going into debt $400,000, and how maybe you can invest in the stock market. And if you do that throughout the course of your life, you can retire as a millionaire by the time you're in your 50s and 60s and not have to rely on the federal government in supporting you and paying you. And that's what these woke millennials haven't been taught, fiscal responsibility. So what they're doing is they're taking out these loans and they're getting in the hole $400,000-$500,000 for college loans, and they can't pay them back. So then they want the federal government to pay back their loans. Now, how is this fair to me? How is this fair to my wife? How is this fair to my children? Now, to explain my situation, I didn't come from a rich family. I came from a lower middle class family. My wife did as well. And, it would have been very difficult for me to afford college. So I played football, and I got a full scholarship to college for football, which was great. I mean, I beat the shit out of my body for 4 years, but I got to go to school for free, and I get out without loans. So I paid for myself. I worked my ass off in the gym, in the weight room, and in different places so I could get that athletic scholarship. Luckily, I was born big, and I was able to do that. My wife is a doctor. My wife had to pay for a lot of her undergrad herself. She had 3 jobs, worked to pay herself through Boston University, and then took out loans to go to medical school. She ended up owing, I think it was close to $300,000 in medical school loans when she graduated. And guess what we did? We paid it back. We paid it back. We didn't beg for people to pay it back for us. We paid back the loans. Now, I'm not going to cry poor mouth. With her being a doctor and me being in business, we get paid a good salary, and we were able to pay it back. But the bottom line is, she went and took out these loans, and we were responsible and paid back our loans. And I didn't ask any of you to pay our loans back. And that's what's called fiscal responsibility. And that's what I think the woke little left millennials in this country have to understand. It's not my job to pay your loans back. If you were fiscally irresponsible and you went to Harvard to study poetry and now you owe 400 grand, before the government pays your loans back, why don't you not go to Starbucks every day? Why don't you not drive a Tesla? Why don't you put down that $500 iPhone or $1,500 iPhone, excuse me, and stop, getting all these expensive little gifts that you want to carry for yourself, and get 3 jobs and drive a shitbox like I had to do for many years and pay off your own damn loans. So Governor DeSantis teaching the students of Florida to be fiscally responsible, I think is an amazing thing. And I'm very happy that he's actually doing that. So, anyway, on the personal front, as I mentioned, my daughter Caitlin, I can't believe it. She's turning 17 years old tomorrow. 17 years old. I can't believe it. We're so proud of her. She's an amazing young woman. She works hard in school. And we're actually going to be going out to lunch in a little while today to have a birthday dinner. So I'll be wrapping up in probably about 5 or 10 minutes. But I also want to talk about one more thing before I let this show go. And I might do another show later on this afternoon. My other son's going to be at baseball from 5 to 7 o'clock, and I might just sit in my car and do another podcast then. So if you're listening now and you'd like to join me later, if you happen to see me pop up, please come back and join me. But let me talk about this one more story before I wrap this up. What do you all think about the transgender girl, I guess, Lia Thomas, who won the championship, the NCAA championship, and she beat out some girls who were biological girls. And now a lot of people are speaking out against her. Now this Lia Thomas, hasn't gone through reassignment surgery yet. So she is still biologically a man, but she's competing against women in swimming. So if I'm going to go back to my screen now, see if there's anybody in here. Okay, I got some people in the live. Right, the man that won. Let me ask all of you. I've got some ladies in here, and I mean, again, I guess I'm a man, so I guess I can't fully understand this. But I mean, I'm a man with a daughter, and my daughter plays sports. And I'm not saying that men are superior to women in any way, but men are just bigger, they're stronger, and it's just a biological fact. So how is it fair, for the women in here especially, how is it fair to expect biological women to compete against a person who I believe was 6'4" and is a biological man? How is it fair for women to compete against this person? I mean, you don't have women competing against men in American football. You don't have women competing against men in most sports because there are just biological differences. And I am one man. I love women. I love women. I'm not this guy that hates women. I think it's amazing all the strides women have made over the last 10, 20, 30 years. I'm all for equality with men and women. I mean, women, in my opinion, are without a doubt the more intelligent species on this planet. And I mean, women are brilliant. I look at my wife, I look at my daughter, I look at the women that I've been surrounded around. Women are amazing. And I love my women. And I support my women. But to me, it just doesn't seem fair that this man, who is considered to be a transgender woman, is competing against women and beating them. It's taking away from women's sports, in my opinion, and it's just not fair. And it's just not right, in my opinion. So, I hope that at some point common sense takes effect and we don't continue to see women get beat up by men who are posing as women in this sport. But I mean, this Lia Thomas, she was swimming as a man. I think was ranked 426th in the country as far as swimmers go. So she switches over and starts competing against women and is now one of the top ranked, if the number one top ranked swimmer in the country. It's not fair. So I lied about you. One more thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. And I want to ask for some of the women out there to help us. And I see you in here, Lightning Skies, beautiful, strong, powerful woman there. I love you. And I think one of the things that we need from women right now is, as you all know, women have been making a lot of strides in this country and in this world, which I said I think is amazing. Women are rock stars. But, we have a lot of men in this country that need your help. I consider myself to be an alpha male. I'm, 6'4", 255 pounds, played college football. I'm a man's man. I'm not a woman. I'm not a she, her. I'm a he, him all the way. And nothing wrong with men who are gay or anything to that effect. I'm just not one of those men. I'm an alpha. If it had been a different time, I would have been a warrior. I was a warrior on the football field. I never went into the military. But I think I would have, really found my calling if I had done that. And as I've talked about, I respect men and women that fight to preserve our freedom. But right now, masculine men, the manly men, the alphas, we're under attack in this country. You hear all the time about toxic masculinity. And quite frankly, I'm sick of hearing about that. For me, the real men in this world, the manly men, the masculine men, whatever you want to call them, the alphas, the real men that are tough, strong men are not the men that beat women. We're not the men that allow children to get abused. The manly men, the real men in this world are the men that would die for their women, that would die for their families, that would die for their country, that would protect the people they love with everything they have and would never raise a hand to a woman. I am 54 years old. I have never hit a woman in my life, and I would never. And if you come after one of the women in my life, I will give my life to protect you because I love you and I respect you. And it would be any woman. If I was walking down the street and I saw a woman being attacked, I would intervene and I would step in and protect that woman. And I would protect the child if I had to, or anybody that was being attacked. But I'm tired of the woke liberal left attacking masculine men because the real masculine men in this world are beautiful. We're beautiful creatures. We really are. We're something to be, I think, celebrated, just like a beautiful, strong woman is to be celebrated. And just like real men have come out over the last 20 years and stood up for real women and helped women become more empowered. And I think it's time now for the real women out there, the strong women, to start standing up for their men because we need your help. You know, we are not impenetrable. We are not um, against attack. And if you look at the attacks that have been happening, the woke liberal left are looking to turn all men into betas. They're looking to turn all men into these woke little liberal progressives that are in touch with their feelings. And this is the attack on real men. So I hope that the real men out there, and I know you're there, and you're my brothers, the real men that are out there, continue to be who you are. Be a man's man without being apologetic for it. Support who you are. Continue to protect your loved ones. Don't apologize for who you are. Be a man and be proud of it. And for the ladies out there that love us, we need your help. We're under attack, and we are a dying breed. And once this generation of current Gen Xers and boomers and maybe some of the older millennials are gone, I don't know if we're coming back. So it's about time that men, here goes my dog. I think this is my family coming home for lunch, so I'm going to have to go. But I'm going to just end it with this. For all the women out there, protect your men. We all need it, and we really appreciate it. So I'm going to go because I've got to go out to lunch with my family to celebrate my daughter's birthday, and look for me on later on today. So thank you for joining the John DeVito show. Let's see, get this ass kisser off the air. Okay, Wade, I'm not sure if you're talking about me, brother. Are you talking about me being a moron? Well, Wade, it's okay. You're probably one of those little woke millennial pussies, if that's the case. So that's all right, Wade. We know that you're in mommy's basement. We know that right now you're probably masturbating to your picture of Joe Biden. We know that you're probably jerking off to your pictures of Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and the woke squad. We know who you are, my brother. And that's okay. We love you here. We love our trolls, even though if you are like misled little liberal wieners. And it's okay, buddy. Look down at that little private spot between your legs and just realize that probably someday it will grow. And if it doesn't, it's okay. There is room in this country and in this world for men with micro penises. So Wade, embrace your micro penis, my brother, and you just hang in there, and we'll all hope for the very best for you, okay? So signing off, everyone, for all the people in here except for Wade, I love you, best wishes, and thank you for joining the John DeVito show today. All right, thanks again. Take care now.